On today's episode of The Unwritten Rule, we have some more Mizzou football, just kind of quick hits news to get through. We're going to talk a little bit about the Tigers being number 9 in the AP poll, maybe do some bowl game talk that'll obviously ramp up over the course of the next two shows with where we think the Tigers will end up in that New Year's 6 discussion. So we have some things to talk about there, and then some men's basketball news as well. We're going to recap the SC State and the Loyola Maryland games because we missed that one, the SC State one last week. Plenty to dive into. Both very frustrating wins, I think, is the best way to describe those. So we'll get into those. And then they have Pitt on Tuesday, so we'll do a preview of that game. And then we'll do quick hits. So we got Ken's Sports Shorts, Best Beats of the Week, Dirty Birds, Fraud Rankings, and the Ratio Community Note Bonk Joke of the Week to close out the show. So good one for you guys. The Unwritten Rule is all presented by Bet Online. The holiday season is off and rolling, with the NFL in full stride and the NBA and NHL hitting mid-season form. And Bet Online is your number one destination for all your sports wagering info with up-to-minute sports wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions. Bet Online is a top spot for everything for both pro and amateur sports. It's not just the big four. Bet Online has info available right at your fingertips with both desktop and mobile access at any time for almost any sport that's played, from MMA to international soccer. We'll have the best beats of the week later. Sicko, Bet Online. We use those lines. So head to Bet Online today and remember to use our promo code BELIEVE. That's BLEAV. BELIEVE for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, where the game starts, and the Unwritten Rule starts right now.
Marcel, where are you going with that disc? You are not putting that on again. Marcel, okay, if you press that button, you are in very, very big trouble.
Attention. Everybody stop what you're doing. It's time for The Unwritten Rule, a Mizzou sports podcast brought to you by the Believe Network, alongside Peyton Haverman and Kenny Van Doren. Here is your host, Jack Knowlton.
Welcome back to the Unwritten Rule.
First
Today
try.
is Monday, November 27th, and Peyton, that is not getting edited to make you look good. Sorry, dude.
Well, you were saying things at the beginning anyways, so it won't make you look
It's
good.
staying in. I don't care. Anyway, yeah. What are we talking? What was I doing? Oh yeah. Welcome back to the Unwritten Rule. Today is Monday, November 27th, and Mizzou football is number 9 in the AP poll. And Thanksgiving Day committing and getting guys who don't play transferring, all sorts of kind of randomness news we had over the weekend post Hogs win, which was an awesome game. Kenny, I'll go to you first because you were not able to join us for that game. Feel free to give your 2 cents into what was a electric game. I mean, me and Peyton, we got all into it. We had people fired up. It was an awesome game.
Yeah, Arkansas fans are right. It's not a rivalry. If it was a rivalry, Arkansas would maybe win in the series. Arkansas is now 2-8 against Mizzou since the Tigers joined the SEC. Pretty abysmal. Sam Pittman had no control of that team. From watching a Christmas movie in November in the locker room before Thanksgiving to a lot of those guys just pretty much going after Mizzou players there at the end. And you can take whichever side, and you can call it homerism that we're taking the Tiger side. I mean, those Arkansas kids had nothing to play for, and it was pretty evident. And going down the stretch, and the Arkansas team just sucked. And it did suck that KJ Jefferson couldn't, play like what could have been his last game at Arkansas, finish it out. We talked about his first game at Arkansas was against Missouri. So that, nothing but respect to KJ Jefferson for what he accomplished in the SEC. Very unfortunate that he didn't get to go out on a high note.
Yeah. I mean, you never want to see anyone get injured. I don't think I don't like to root for injuries. I don't think most of us, at least 2 out of the 3 of us on this podcast, don't. But it was still a sure.
I felt
but
bad.
it was still a resounding nice victory for Mizzou. Great to see them just end the season with a big win over the Hogs, an expected win over the Hogs. I was glad we didn't have another Florida. I don't think my heart could have taken another game that went the way the Florida game did. And now you're looking at a New Year's 6 bowl, which let's get into last. Let's hit on this news this just, quick hit news first, and then I want to talk about the AP poll ranking. Obviously, we're recording this before CFP stuff. So, we don't know where that all will end up, but we will eventually. But I do want to talk about that. But let's do the news first. We had Thanksgiving commitment news. The grind don't stop for Eli Drinkwitz on the recruiting trail. He posted the bat signal and landed a 3-star offensive tackle transfer from the JUCO level, Jayven Richardson, Hutchinson, Kansas, Hutchinson Community College. I believe a bit of a powerhouse in the JUCO ranks, if I remember correctly. But yeah, Jayven Richardson, 3-star offensive tackle. Nice to get another transfer pickup. What do you boys think of this guy here on a little Thanksgiving recruiting action?
Yeah, he's from Hutchinson CC. I think Kenny made the joke that the Hutchinson CC pipeline continues for Mizzou. That includes Dylan Leibel, who is like the 4th string quarterback right now. But no, I mean, that's the 16th commit for Mizzou in the class. They got to start stacking up bodies. They're going to have to hit the portal pretty hard, just at a number of positions. I mean, you're going to lose half the O-line because Javon Foster and Xavier Delgado will be back, so it's good to get as much depth there as you can. So yeah, good pickup. Far from the last, I'm sure, just the O-line position.
And we know he's not going to be Javon Foster, but it is good to go after a tackle, just to have another body, another guy to evaluate in the spring. And then during the summer, as you start to shuffle that offensive line, we already know Armand Membu's a dog, and he's probably going to move over to left tackle at some point. And Peyton even texted me and said it's going to be hard to stop that guy from going pro after his 3rd season. And I mean, he's just been lights out. And we saw even at the beginning of the season, there was a dog list from the Athletic, and he was on there. And we've known about Armand Membu and what he's had to show. And the one thing I will mention about Hutchinson is that Dylan Leibel is not the only current Mizzou player that went to Hutchinson at one point. The other one is Demarion Peanut Houston, who we have not seen this season due to injuries at the beginning of the year. He caught a touchdown pass in the bowl game last year, for those that might not remember. So there is a small connection there. Some role players have come through. Dylan Leibel may never have a snap in a Mizzou uniform, but he sure impressed Drinkwitz during practices during the summer.
Yeah, Peanut Houston. I mean, shout out, the pipeline is very real. You gotta tap into those JUCO ranks from time to time. Another guy who has not seen very much snaps this year and is leaving the program for Mizzou, according to Gabe DeArmond on Twitter. Confirmed with the team spokesperson. I'm quoting this tweet. Confirmed with the team spokesperson that Mizzou wide receiver Dannis Jackson left the team in recent weeks. Jackson had transferred in from Ole Miss. Didn't see a lot of playing time this year. I was trying to remember when I had last heard Dannis Jackson getting into a game. Kenny, I think you said it. It was the Kansas State game.
It was me.
Play one snap, or maybe it was Peyton. Sorry, Peyton. Your credit to you.
Yeah,
that was
me.
that was his only appearance.
I said that because I remembered it. No, he has 2 weird oddities that I can remember. He had a catch in the Middle Tennessee State game that they credited to Jaden Jernigan, and that, to my knowledge, has still just never been fixed. But I know it was Dannis Jackson. The other time, obviously Dannis Jackson. I mean, he was I think he was almost right after Theo Weiss committed, so I think they expected him to have a bigger role, but kind of just never panned out that way. The other time I would remember him, and I think it was honestly the last snap he ever played at Mizzou, was in the Kansas State game. Mizzou had a 3rd and 7, 8, like a 3rd and medium to long. They threw a ball out to him, see if he could maybe make a play with the ball in his hands, make a corner miss and get a first down. He dropped it. It was in the red zone. They had to settle for a field goal. I don't think he played another snap. I mean, in the weeks following, Daniel Blood played against LSU. Mekhi Miller got back healthy. I know that Josh Manning was on the field a few times. He just bodies kept showing up. He kept getting passed on the depth chart. Just is what it is sometimes. Certainly don't think he would have any ill will towards Mizzou. It just is a situation of the numbers game kind of caught up to him.
Marquise Johnson, I'd also throw in there. I had some explosive plays and pretty much just took over. And I was kind of thinking about him the other day because I was like, I still haven't seen this guy in a while. And I remember when he came over from Ole Miss, kind of some hype around it. Anytime a guy transfers within the SEC, you're feeling kind of excited about it just to see what he can bring to a team. Very unfortunate for him. Don't know if there's anything else that went behind the scenes. It just kind of played into his decision to go elsewhere, but you kind of wish him the best moving forward. And if he had the talent to move within the SEC there, I wouldn't say he's going to move within the SEC again, but I'm sure he could land with maybe a good group of 5 team or even maybe a lower in Power 5 and just kind of find his footing again. But I mean, kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, we'll see what ends up with him. Peyton, you going through the specific last play that he had reminds me of like I have an account that'll pop up on my Instagram that's like it's called like NFL least memorable plays, and it'll just show a highlight of like a kickoff going out of bounds for a touchback, and it's just the clip will end. That felt like you were describing a video on that account. Throw that in there. But yeah, he's out the door. It would seem. Other news. Gabe also provided the redshirt status for Mizzou's freshman, according to the Tigers, I guess, participation report. So burn the red shirt, no longer redshirt freshman. Daniel Blood, Marvin Burks, Jordan Harris, Marquise Johnson, who Kenny mentioned, Josh Manning, Brett Norfleet, our guy, Philip Roche, and then kept the red shirt, Craig the Leg, Blake Craig, excuse me, Brayshawn Little John, the best name in football, Shamar McNeil, Jamal Roberts, Brandon Salas. I'm going to butcher his name. Kenny, can you help me? Is it Surigne? Tonkara, Logan Reichert, Nicholas Deloach, Gabar Johnson, and Jakai Lang. So there you go, red shirt guys. I don't think there are any surprising names on there. The ones who burned the red shirt, I'm glad they did because their impacts have been great with Johnson and Norfleet.
I'm surprised McNeil didn't wind up burning his because he is someone I remember the coaching staff was very high on for a while. I know he dealt with injuries for a few weeks, but I am a little surprised by that. Like Craig almost did because they thought maybe he was the solution on kickoffs. That didn't wind up happening. I do remember Drinkwitz saying point blank before the Arkansas game they weren't going to play Brayshawn Littlejohn so he could keep that red shirt. And obviously most of these other guys, I mean, like, are complete freshmen. Jamal Roberts, Brandon Solis, Reichert. I mean, those are all, Jabari Johnson, all freshmen. So nothing overly surprising there.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys talked about in the recap. I still haven't had a chance to listen, but Jamal Roberts seeing the field was a pretty neat thing to see there for
did not
getting
bring
that one
up.
rush. But when you look at, I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago, that this freshman class feels a lot more of an impact than that 2022 one. And I know you can point out Luther Burden was, the best freshman on the team last year and, provided so much of that offense. But overall, it's just like there was a lot of good role players, a lot of guys moving in and kind of getting their feet wet early. And I think that's something good to see from the Tigers moving forward, because you look back at the 2021 class. I mean, it was ranked so highly for the Tigers, and a lot of those guys are no longer with the program. You talk about Travion Ford as one of the big ones on defense who came in. Tyler Macon on offense at quarterback never really got it going. And you kind of just weighing the options and you see these guys are just impacting early. And some of them aren't even like big time, 3 stars and 4 stars. A guy like Jordan Harris, we mentioned before, kind of new to football, started halfway through high school playing football. And he had some great blocking. And I was a little bit surprised, to be honest, that he got on there, but kind of started thinking about it more of those games where he was a primary blocker, that he did burn it. But a good group of guys there. And I mean, Daniel Blood is kind of a big story to me. He comes from the same high school as Justin Jefferson, was committed to Lafayette, Louisiana Lafayette, decommits. I mean, he didn't really have many big Power 5 offers. And to make an impact that early for the Tigers, he had a good catch against LSU, which probably meant the world to him. That's a guy I would keep an eye on moving forward. Could be like, he didn't have like the ranking of Mekhi Miller and Mookie Cooper, but he seems like a guy that would just give you a catch whenever you need one. You're just surprised.
You've been a Daniel Blood guy. I feel like I remember that when he made the LSU catch, you were hyped.
I remember I talked to him a couple times, and I had a cousin who's been on the show before, Nick Dallenheim. He's been on. We do our NCAA tournament predictions and games.
Oh yeah.
And he asked me to ask him. He was like, "Is he can he gritty well like Justin Jefferson?" And I asked him, and he said, "You'll see." And so we still haven't seen it yet.
Yeah,
Daniel Blood will show us the gritty.
I don't know. The gritty might be too out of style now. Like he's gonna have to do that one dance. Have you seen the dance the guys do where they can like they like float. It looks like they're like floating when they like
It's like the
it looks like a
Juby
moonwalk
shuffle.
but sideways.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't even
I
know
know
what
what
it's
you're talking about.
called, but I'm out of touch. But it like that looks sick. I would love to learn how to do that. But anyway, yeah, shout out Daniel Blood and a good group of guys for the future. More future stuff. Kenny, I'll turn this mostly over to you, but I remember seeing this news. We had Trajen Greco, a 4-star. He's listed as a safety, I know, on On3. Rivals list him as an athlete. He was a Georgia Tech guy, decommitted, and now I think has a bunch of future casts in for Mizzou on Rivals. Seems to be very much trending in Mizzou's direction, a guy to maybe improve this recruiting class.
For sure. I mean, I keep talking about the flip this season, going after some of these, the 4-stars that are committed to some of these other Power 5 schools like Georgia Tech, Vanderbilt, Arkansas. And this is just another name to keep an eye on. I mean, you can go on all the sites. I mean, there's only one primary recruiting site, and Gabe does a great job over there at Power Mizzou, and he could give you all the answers before it actually happens. But looking at it, like you mentioned, he is an athlete. Georgia Tech did recruit him as a safety. And I mean, you think about it, who's the primary contact that he's having with the Tigers? I mean, I would kind of go with Baker. I mean, he's just Blake is the safeties coach and also the defensive coordinator. If you're going after a 4-star that you're pulling a commitment away from an ACC school, I know, I mean, Mizzou is better than Georgia Tech when you look down the line, but I think he's probably his main contact at the moment. And that would just elevate this class even more, even after losing Cam Dooley.
Hey, Georgia Tech played Georgia close. Give those Yellow Jackets some respect. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I think an important name to watch. Trajen Greco again is the guy to keep an eye on. And I would think you mentioned with Baker, like he is an athlete, but given, we just talked about this wide receiver room pushing an Ole Miss transfer out, I would think they'd be recruiting him to play defense. But
it is an interesting thing. I just want to point this out. I was just on the LSU side that LSU has recruited this quarterback in the state of Louisiana who has like the most total yards now for the division that he plays in. He's played quarterback his whole high school career. He's being recruited as a safety. So, I mean, it can always just flip at one point. And you talk about Jamarian Wayne, who's moved back and forth from safety to wide receiver for the Tigers the last 2 years. I'm not going to predict any or call any shots. Maybe Jamarian Wayne kind of looks at the portal just because he just really has an opportunity to stick anywhere. We've seen him on special teams a couple times, but he's been having to switch around a lot.
Yeah, I find it fascinating that guys can get to a Power 5 level and switch positions like that and still be like very elite. I mean, you mentioned we've seen it with, a bunch of guys. So some names to keep an eye on. Trajen Greco out of Georgia Tech might be the one to transfer. Okay, I want to get into this a little bit. And I know that, it's gonna probably sound like we're beating a dead horse by the end of this week, but it is the conversation that everyone's going to be having now that Mizzou does beat Arkansas, gets that 10th win. Oh yeah, sorry, I said he was a Georgia Tech. He's not a transfer. He's a decommitment. Excuse me. For Greco. Anyway, conversation that I think everyone's going to have this week. Mizzou gets number 9 in the AP poll, as announced on Sunday. And now it's New Year's 6 time where, it feels like every outlet is reporting, everywhere, like they're all but guaranteed for a New Year's 6. That's what we feel. I think that's what every Mizzou fan feels. I'll tell you what, it's not what Ole Miss fans feel. I hate to call them specifically out. And also just, there's just some weirdness. I know, like, I'm drawing this mainly from the predictions I saw from Andy Staples, who did not include Mizzou in his list of New Year's 6 games, which just feels a little bit ridiculous to me. And I know we'll keep getting into it. We're going to have Champ Week. Stuff's going to get all topsy-turvy. You're probably a little bit, well, maybe not grateful that Mizzou isn't in the playoff, but if they were in that conversation, it'd be even more difficult to say where they're going to go. I can speak from that with where Alabama is, but it just seems weird to me that it feels like there's some momentum in a lot of people, some people, at least in the Ole Miss circle specifically. I think this team is going to miss out on a New Year's 6 bowl. I want to get y'all's take. Like, is that like that won't happen? I think at least because of a team like Ole Miss.
No, it could happen. I just don't think it's very likely. It certainly, I mean, the committee can do whatever they want. They could go into this week and look at everybody's roster and decide, you know what, we're gonna have Ole Miss jump Mizzou. There's pretty much no reason for them to do that, considering the last few weeks or last 2 weeks really, they not only decided Mizzou was better than Ole Miss, but better than Penn State and even Louisville. So I can't imagine they'd reverse course that hard and have them flip, but they are within their rights to do that. The Andy Staples thing is just kind of strange because his whole reasoning was that he thinks the committee will re-examine the resumes of each team and flip it like that. I just don't. I can't imagine. Like the only example he could really give was back in 2014 when TCU dropped from 3 to 6 after I believe not getting to play in the conference title game because the Big 12 was antiquated and didn't have a conference title game. I wouldn't worry about it. There is also still a way if the conference championships really don't break Mizzou's way that could force them out. But that would take Ole Miss winning, Louisville winning, Iowa would have to beat Michigan, which is just not happening. All three of those things would have to happen for Mizzou to drop out that way. So it's not impossible for Ole Miss to get in over Mizzou, especially if a bowl game really likes Ole Miss like more than Mizzou. But at the end of the day, it's the committee's call. And if the committee has Mizzou over Ole Miss, oh well, there's nothing either one can do at this point. Neither one of them have another game this year. So
You meant Alabama, right, over Ole Miss?
Yeah, you meant Alabama
in the SEC game.
Yes, that's what I meant. Sorry. But no, I wouldn't worry about it. It's not the most impossible thing in the world, but it's very unlikely.
And Andy Staples also left out Penn State, which has been, another thing that Penn State fans are a little bit confused about. It's like a total like different feeling from Friday. After the Friday game, everyone was saying New Year's 6. Everyone on the field was saying New Year's 6. When Cody Schrader was getting interviewed by CBS, they said, congrats on making a New Year's 6 bowl. And now, just like 2 days later, it feels like, okay, Ole Miss is schedules are going to get reevaluated. The wins are going to get reevaluated, and Ole Miss is going to take it. It's just a total flip in the feeling of how things are going to go. And the Ole Miss played the day before, too. That's what even just makes it weirder, is that they played on Thanksgiving.
I would point out, this is literally just a thing that Andy Staples and Ole Miss fans have been saying. This is not something that has come from. Jerry Palm still has the exact same New Year's 6 as he had before. He has Mizzou playing Penn State in the Peach Bowl. Andy Staples has neither one. Jerry Palm has been doing this for a long time. I think a lot of this will, and Mizzou fans may not like this because of what the whole debacle last year. But Brett McMurphy knows what he's talking about with these bowl games. If he comes out tomorrow and still has Mizzou and Penn State in a New Year's 6, I think that would put all of this to bed, especially on Tuesday when the CFP committee rankings come out. I fully expect Mizzou to still be at 9, and that'll be that. I don't think there's any real way, especially when you look at Ole Miss is coming off a 10-point win over Mississippi State. Mizzou is coming off of a 34-point win over Arkansas. Mississippi State is a little better than Arkansas. They even beat Arkansas 7-3. That win, Mizzou's win, is better than Ole Miss's. That's just the way it is. I think the committee values what have you done for me lately, and the fact of the matter is Mizzou has been more impressive lately than Ole Miss has.
Yeah, I think you both make sound points. Kenny, sorry, I cut you off, I think.
Yeah, I love those graphics that Brett posts as well. Whenever you see your team on there, it's like, oh, I'm going to read this. This is something good. What if he comes out and it's the same graphic as last year? Kansas, Missouri, Liberty Bowl.
Just
What
copy
paste
paste the
what?
wrong image.
Totally troll us. Just ruin everything. Make us feel bad. Like there's something
This
wrong.
is what I got.
Yeah, that was my one joke. I think we can go deep into this next week on our Friday episode. Maybe we'll bring someone on to talk about it. I got someone in the queue maybe to talk about it. But I'm just selfishly really want the Cotton Bowl just because I want to go see it. And I'm probably gonna go see it either way. But that's the one thing. I know you guys talked about it, but that's the one thing I want to throw out there is that I know some people might not want the Cotton Bowl for some reasons, but that might play into the Ken Sports Shorts here in a few minutes.
Ooh, yeah, don't spoil. I won't spoil. Yeah, I just think what's up, Peyton?
I was going to say, It does seem like the way the bowls shake out now, especially with the whole Florida State Louisville situation. It does seem. I know I said on Friday's episode I'd pick Mizzou Penn State as the prediction because I don't think Mizzou's going to get the Group of 5 team because traditionally they're going to try and pair the Group of 5 team with a name brand to give that bowl a little more leniency. They don't want to throw Mizzou and Tulane together because nobody will watch that. Nobody neutral is going to watch that. I'm just going to be point blank about that. I think Mizzou will get a good opponent. I think Tulane or SMU, whoever it is, will wind up getting a name brand as well. If I had to pick now, I would think Penn State will get the Group of 5, and I think Mizzou will play Texas.
Yeah, I think I would say they're Penn State in that, or depending on, assuming if they lose to Georgia, I would throw Alabama in there as well for the same reasons that you just said, Peyton. It's a name brand. National audience will watch it. Although I stuck my neck out, and Peyton and I, Kenny, were talking loosely just about championship week. I put in a prediction. I think Alabama's going to win that game and make all kinds of hell.
I no longer think there's any chance of that.
I still think it's going to happen. I still think it's going to happen. That's fair. I'm going to ride or die with the prediction. And I think that's going to raise all sorts of hell for the CFP situation, but that's a different conversation. I just think, this is just going to get it's going to be interesting where the dialogue goes nationally. I know a lot of this comes from Ole Miss circles, but it was something that there was just a lot of fighting in the replies of that Staples tweet, like of people, of Mizzou and Ole Miss fans going back and forth about resumes. If only freaking Kansas State didn't have to lose in that Snow Bowl, and they could have still been ranked, because I know people are talking about that, because it's like Mizzou only has one ranked win. It's like there's stretching arguments, but that's
Andy
what college
Staples
football debating is about.
Last week had Mizzou out of a New Year's Six as well. So, I mean, this has been something he's consistently done. He's consistently been the only one that does not have Mizzou in the New Year's Six.
Yeah, we'll see. It's interesting looking just at with this last week, like something's gonna have to kick off in the championship games, because I feel like all the chaos that we've been saying is gonna happen for the last 4 weeks has not happened. All the teams are supposed to keep winning.
That would be very bad news for Mizzou if chaos happens in the title games.
So they want chalk.
They want chalk. They do not
Pure
want.
chalk.
They
Okay,
want
never mind.
Florida
I want no
State to
chaos.
win. They want Florida State
Washington.
to win. They want Michigan. The Washington Oregon one doesn't.
I guess that doesn't.
The winner will get in, but they don't want Oklahoma State to win.
Sure.
They want just straight chalk.
Okay, never mind. I want no more chaos in college football. We want only chalk. But we'll see just how that combo kind of shakes up as the week goes by. Men's basketball. It's a very different kind of conversation we're having in terms of success or a feeling of success for the Tigers. Oh my gosh, just bumped my mic. South Carolina State and Loyola, Maryland. Not games, again, that you'd be expecting the Tigers should have any problems. But once again, just looking shaky at times. South Carolina State, a lot better than the Loyola, Maryland game, which Mizzou only won 78-70 after being up 31-9 at one point in that game. South Carolina State, they dispatched 82-59. But still, I don't think we're feeling too much better than we were after what was a horrific loss to Jackson State, after these two. And now it's Pitt this week.
Yeah, the Loyola Maryland game was very disheartening to watch. I mean, you get up, you're doing what you're supposed to. You give me a little bit of confidence with that 31-9 start. And then it's just the same thing. Like, some of these lineups are just bad, like bad fits. The East honor lineups just don't work. I mean, I know Dennis is trying really hard to get them to work. They just don't play right. It doesn't flow together to me. It just seems like the offense does not. I don't know. And then both of them on defense is a problem at times as well. And Carolero, I don't see it with him, quite frankly. There are a lot of positives out of those games. Mainly, I thought Ants looked great in both games. Jordan Butler has flashed a bit, but I mean, you're not handling teams you should be handling. I mean, even the South Carolina State game, you had to overcome a huge early deficit.
Yeah, you're down at halftime by 2 points. It was a good second half there, a good feeling, good strong finish from Anthony Robinson, as you mentioned. The fouls are still a little bit just an issue early on, and that just comes with moving up to the SEC level from high school. And I mean, it'll come and go, and he'll get better at that, and just staying more into games without the foul troubles. But I mean, yeah, I think that the South Carolina State game is a good feeling after the second half. Just kind of showed you there were some bright spots. A lot of guys piecing it together. I thought Sean East played well in that game. He's been playing like so much in these games, 35 minutes in a game that you won 82-59. They just need him on the floor. And he performed well, 21 points, 8 for 13 from the field. Looked strong there. And I think it's wins or wins. And after you lose to Jackson State, I mean, we had people in our YouTube comments kind of coming after us for not giving Jackson State credit. I'm not going to give a team that's 0-5 credit. I mean, you can tell me that the team is not deep. Sure, it's not deep, but Mizzou, an SEC program that reached the tournament last year, should not have a problem with that team. And you can tell me that it's good or not. I don't care what league they play in. I don't care
Mizzou is
what conference.
25-point favorites. They should win that 100 times out of 100.
A computer tells me that this team should not be beating this team, and then they beat them. Yeah, I'm going to be frustrated with that. And if you're a fan, you'd feel the same way. And I think that was just a little bit silly for those people to come after us with that. And you can be, I mean, that's just fandom. They were just fans of their team, but a little bit silly to think that their team should have won that game. And I mean, good heart, good hustle from those guys, especially in a tough week. But overall, I didn't get to finish the end of the Loyola Maryland game. They got closer at the end. And I think I talked with you guys that I think it was Golden Dyke was kind of giving them some trouble off the bench there for a little bit. I think he finished with 7 rebounds off the bench in 15 minutes. I think that was pretty good. I think the rebounds have been an issue, and we talked a little about the defense as well.
Did Mizzou get out-rebounded by Loyola?
Total rebounds, 41 for Loyola and 34 for Missouri.
Oh, my God. This is going to be a long year, guys. This is just not a good basketball team.
Yeah.
I just don't have another way to put it. That's really bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's wild to me that it feels like they're playing so many guys, and yet Sean East is playing 36 minutes against Loyola and 35 against South Carolina State. Like, he has, like, you're right, he has to be in these games for a while. He has to be on all the time. This team is still searching for the guy. I mean, they're in a lot worse of a place than I think we thought they were preseason. For me, it's the defense. These defensive schemes and like the rotations they run, they leave like, I don't need to get like too into the nitty gritty, but they leave like short corners open. Like even Ben Arnett, was talking about it on both of these games, doing the play-by-play. Like it's these short corner like twos and then wide open corner threes. Like this team does not rotate well. I think they communicate all right, and like one-on-one there, they hustle, and like Anthony Robinson, I think, is the best embodiment of that. The guy's a dog on defense. I am buying so much stock into him. I know Peyton is too. I think he's going to be a fantastic player in this league for the next, 2+ seasons, depending on how long he stays there and where his trajectory is. But yeah, it's just a little bit baffling. And it's clear they need East to be their guy all year. So hopefully he has the legs for it. I trust him to. I know Drew King talked about that he's worked hard in the offseason, but yeah, just a lot of frustrating moments. It's only going to get tougher going forward.
There's just weird things. Like John Tonje didn't play at all really against Loyola Maryland after starting against South Carolina State. And he hasn't really done anything, so I don't necessarily blame Dennis for trying to figure it out right now.
He didn't play at all.
Just against Loyola.
He didn't play at all against Loyola.
No, and he's been dealing with that foot injury.
Yeah, and then Vanover hasn't quite gotten his feet under him. He's had a couple shifts where he looks like exactly what Mizzou needs him to be, just like a shot block machine. He hit that 3 against South Carolina State. They need him to stretch the floor like that because he can't do a whole ton down in the post, it doesn't look like. But yeah, just largely, I mean, it's been pretty tough to watch. Now, maybe they're just playing down. Maybe there'll be a team that just plays to whoever they play that night. That's kind of got to be the hope at this point.
That's funny that you say that. It was over Thanksgiving. I watched both these games with my mom, and that, like, she doesn't watch like too much basketball that often, but from 5 minutes, she was like, they're really playing down to this other team's level. Like, they look way better than these guys at times, but they play down. Sound analysis. I mean, honestly, that is what it feels like. And that happened at times in the non-con last year for this team. The bright spot of that was they also were able to play up, and they had the talent to play up. I don't know if this team quite has the talent to play up. Like, I worry greatly. Like, I think they're really experienced. I don't think, that they're going to get too much in their own way, but they're, like, looking at some of the schedule, like some of the guys, the teams they're playing ahead of them Pitt was a tournament team. They got Wichita State. That team took them to overtime. Also the Ronnie DeGray revenge game. Number 1, Kansas, Seton Hall, Illinois, all before you have a tune-up game against Central Arkansas, and then it's SEC play. So this team's going to figure out, well, I think we maybe already figured out, but this team is going to,
if it's going to happen, it's going to have to be now.
It's got to happen now. Yeah. Well said, Peyton. Weird. We'll see.
Pitt will be telling. That will be.
Yeah. That's a tournament team.
I think. Yeah. And you have to go on the road.
Last thing I'll mention is that the Tigers were 15 from 24 from the charity stripe in this game. I mean, they haven't had many free throw issues in the past, but that's 62.5%. And I mean, that's another thing that just kind of sucks when you shoot that way from free throws. And when you look back at the Konzo era, when, Konzo was in the dumps, you could always count on some consistent free throws. And we remember that they broke a record when they were playing that.
Yeah.
This team has been struggling in its own right, but it's not shooting at the free throw line like it did when Konzo's teams were struggling.
That reminds me too. It's so like that, I think, is the other most frustrating thing for me. I watch and they don't seem to have a guy who can just, like, blow by a defender and draw a foul. Like, that Minnesota game was super identifying for that, where they didn't go to the free throw line till, like,
Noah
late
Carter
in the
got
second half.
one with like 8 minutes left.
Yeah. It's like they don't have the bigs that are big enough, like Kobe Brown was, where they can dump it into him and draw fouls. And they don't see, like, Sean East has a lot of great finesse. He has good touch. He can get by a defender, do a little floater, a touch shot, whatever. But they don't have a guy that can go downhill and just get, like, a hard-nosed bucket or a foul. And a lot of these mid-majors, again, we mentioned credit to Jackson State. Like, a lot of these mid-majors, they're playing do. Like, they have guys who just, no fear, go right to the basket on a 7-5 Connor Vanover and go to the free throw line.
I would honestly say that the guy that kind of closest resembles that, maybe two, Tamar Bates. I mean, Tamar Bates does like to drive down there. He doesn't get the fouls much, but he does like to go down there. And Caleb Grill, and that is not what Caleb Grill was supposed to be. So I think that's kind of not.
Yeah, he has a lot of hustle.
Yeah.
I just think this team is like, it's going to have to be a team that's really good at moving the ball and creating open shots, because it just doesn't feel like they have, like, the one-on-one sort of skill to beat, like, high-level defenders. I just haven't seen it.
They had two guys that were elite at that last year in Kobe Brown and DeAndre Golston, and
right,
they have not found either one of those yet, I don't think.
Yeah, and again, like, Nick Honor and Shawnee's skill set's a little different than that, but
yeah,
it doesn't help. It doesn't help when you don't have a guy who can do that. They would love a DeAndre Golston on this team. Love one. Shout out Dre. Yeah, that'll do it. We'll have a recap of the Pitt game, because that's on Tuesday, so we won't have a show before that. But yeah, we'll take a look at that on Friday. But with that, we will segue. We'll finish the show out and do quick hits. I'm excited for these Ken sports shorts. The other thing I was going to say, I completely drew a blank on this. I'm surprised the Hutchinson pipeline couldn't have been. That could have been a maybe good Ken sports shorts. Not too many guys.
I would have lost.
Yeah, that would have been bad. That would have been a little too hard. So thank you for not doing that, Kenny. But anyway, we'll see what Ken sports shorts are on quick hits. Before we get into quick hits, the Mizzou Pittsburgh game, quick reminder, is at 6:30 on ESPNU on Tuesday. Listen to that. Also, we forgot to call out the Cavs on their bullshit court that had a hole in it that resulted in an injury for one Mr. Mizzou legend, Drew Smith, and now he's out for the season. So I don't know if we know any lawyers, maybe sue. I could take action. This is outrageous.
Who are the
antics by
ones
the
that
Cleveland
made
Cavaliers.
a commercial with Trey Gomillion?
The Sticklands.
Oh,
Yeah.
Sticklands.
yeah,
Stickland
Stickland Law
Stickland.
Firm.
Stickland
Stickland Law
and
Firm. If
Stickland
anyone from
need to
Stickland
get
Law
on
Firm
that.
is watching
Yeah.
this, maybe we send them. I don't know what jurisdiction they have outside of Missouri. They're allowed to
Get
practice
him
law
his
elsewhere.
Gomillions.
But yeah, get your go millions. Bullshit on the Cavaliers. Anyway, quick hits time. Kenny, you're excited about this one. Ken's Sports Shorts.
Before we do that, Jack just said, do we know any lawyers? There's a lawyer in his house at the moment, so that was a silly
It's
question,
true.
Jack.
That's true. I forgot about that. I don't know if she does injury law, but we can figure that out. That's twice she's been mentioned on this show. Rarity. Hi, Mom. I'm on TV. Ken Sports Shorts, go.
All right, Ken Sports Shorts this week. I mentioned it when I brought up the Cotton Bowl a little bit earlier. We talked about Mizzou football, and that's where we're going to go here. Mizzou's record all time in BCS bowls. It's going to be kind of a three-part question. We're going to go down the line, make you kind of guess the teams that they played. And I say BCS bowl, New Year's Six. It's the regular six. It was changed different names throughout the time. I always will call it BCS just because that's what I grew up with. You can call it New Year's Six.
That's
There's
what we
also
want
different
back.
names. There was like the Confederate bowl stuff. I mean, it was crazy.
What?
I mean, it had like a different name. It was like the conglomerate of bowls. I mean, I could look it up after, but
Do you mean like the Confederation? Is that what you meant?
yeah,
Oh my
Confederation
God,
of
dude,
bowls.
get the
Okay.
hell out of
Yeah.
here.
No, not the Confederate Bowl.
The Jefferson
Also-
Davis Bowl or something. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
There
that's
is
not
one
good.
bowl.
Not good.
There's one bowl from the 40s that Mizzou played in that's actually not considered a bowl. It was considered a festival, and so it was
That's fun.
it was a Christmas festival, and it didn't count as a bowl game.
Did they
I
win?
think it still does. No, they lost. But
Oh.
I'm
Good,
going to go
doesn't
down the
count.
list here. So Mizzou has played in 10 BCS New Year's Six bowls. What is their all-time record?
Actually, Kenny, I'm gonna be slide glasses on nerdy here. If you technically refer to them as BCS New Year's Six bowls, Mizzou is 0-0 because they technically haven't played it.
Owned.
Official
Owned.
BCS New Year's Six bowls.
Boom.
If you're talking
Get 'em,
about just the
Peyton.
New Year's Six bowls, then we can have a conversation here.
Yes.
But I just wanted to.
Get your quizzing.
Okay,
right.
so the last one, obviously, they played in the Cotton Bowl. I assume that's what we're counting here, against Oklahoma State.
Mhm.
Yep.
Last
Okay,
one.
so that's one. So then, Nolan, it's your turn.
Wait,
No,
okay.
I'm asking you to give me the
What was
record.
the
I'm not
record?
asking you to go
Oh, the
through
Oh
them.
my! This
Oh,
dude was
yes.
so
I
busy
thought we were
trying to
guessing
correct you.
all
He didn't
the-
even hear the goddamn
No.
question.
I thought we were going through every
One
one. of
by
them.
one,
Okay,
no.
well, so there's 10 of them. They've also
Yes.
beaten. They beat the hell out of Arkansas in 2008.
They-
So that's 2.
They beat Minnesota, right?
That was Outback, so that does not count.
Oh, because that wasn't new. Oh, that wasn't New Year's Six. You're right.
It's
You're right.
technically Citrus, or no, that's Reliant Quest. Sorry.
This is gonna have to be all you, dude. I don't know that. I don't remember the different like which one would be New Year's Six now and wouldn't
See,
be.
the problem is almost all of those before 2008 had to have come in like the 60s. So
Yeah, and I'm not super.
yeah, I don't know all that because bowls were
We're
also,
young.
like,
Also, excusing that. 'cause we-
yeah, the bowls were like the Wild West back then too. I'm gonna say they're like 6-4.
Jack, do you have a guess?
I will guess 2 and 5.
There's 10.
There's 10.
Oh, my bad. 4 and 6.
Correct. Jack is correct.
Oh,
Tigers
there
are
you
4 and
go.
6. I'm gonna go through these. You tell me when to stop.
Yeah, I want to hear him.
We're gonna go through all of them. So I looked it up as well. Before it was New Year's Six, we said BCS from 1998 to 2013. From 95 to 97, it was the Bowl Alliance, and then the Bowl Coalition before that. It's just the 6 primary bowls, the 6 best bowls, whatever you want to call it. And that's what we're talking about here. Starting off in 1942 was the Sugar Bowl, the first time the Tigers played in one. The Tigers lost 2-0 to Fordham.
Oh,
Wow, the
I did know that
Rams.
one. I've heard about that one. Yeah.
Nick Honor.
Okay. 1946 Cotton Bowl. This is the last one in the 40s. Tigers also did not make one. They did make one in the 50s, but they lost this one as well, 40-27 against Texas. In 1960,
Rematch,
Orange
perhaps.
Bowl, 14-0 loss to Georgia. And then in 1961, the first win in the Orange Bowl, 21-14 against Navy. 1966 Sugar Bowl, another win here, 20-18 over Florida. 1970 got back in the loss column. 2 here in the 70s. Orange Bowl 10-3 against Penn State. 1972 Fiesta Bowl 49-35 against Arizona State, which I thought was a pretty interesting one. Think about
Yeah.
Mizzou playing Arizona State now. I mean, that's something you see. And
Journalism
then
Bowl.
Journalism Bowl there
That would also
back
be
in
like
the
an
70s.
80-0 game. Arizona State stinks.
Exactly. And Peyton mentioned it, 2008 Cotton Bowl, Arkansas, and then 2014 Cotton Bowl win over Oklahoma State. And that is a 4-6 record.
That's such a wild amount of now SEC teams that they've played, that they play relatively regularly, that they faced in big bowl games. Also 2 opponents that they could maybe face now with Penn State and Texas. Not very much parity.
Chance
I
for
want to play
revenge.
Fordham again.
I do not want to watch Mizzou play Fordham. I
about
also, the
Navy?
reason I've heard of that is because that Fordham defense is considered the greatest of all time, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow. So here's my last question.
They didn't have Jordan Davis.
I told you guys I was, maybe going to throw in a couple there, but I ended up only doing the one, and we went through them. It would have been too difficult to even guess those teams. But this is when I was talking about in 1924. It was the Los Angeles Christmas Festival. So it technically doesn't count as a bowl game to certain websites. It just counts as a postseason win. But it's still grouped in the bowls, according to some people. I want you to guess the opponent and the final score.
So this
Okay, I
Los
feel like-
Angeles, you said?
Yeah, I feel like this got to be someone out west. Like I feel like they would base this pretty location wise. I
Well-
guess Missouri's in it, so maybe not.
One time I remember like a question came up between like Mizzou that had USC as the answer. That was when we were trying to guess.
We were doing the
the
Pac-12 record.
teams, yeah. And Mizzou
'Cause
has
my
played
first thought was
USC.
UCLA.
Mizzou has played USC, but I don't think
Yeah.
this is where they played USC. They have played USC in LA, but it
This could be a
wasn't
little
here. I
a
don't think.
Ken Sports Shorts
What year?
crossover.
That's
muted,
great,
dude.
but what year?
1924.
Oh my god.
Ooh, boy.
Um,
That's the how
yeah,
they
I
got
have
there.
no
that we're
idea.
like they jumped
Yeah.
from horse and buggy
There-
on the Oregon Trail there.
There were no road systems.
Yeah,
Uh,
train.
good God, yeah, they had to have
Was there,
taken trains.
was there a train?
Yeah.
yeah.
No, there were trains. There were trains back in the 18. Like
Yeah, I'm
1700s.
stupid. Don't listen to me.
Oh,
Um,
jeez. Is it? Or do we get no hints, right?
I mean, you were right about the team being out west.
It's a Pac-12. It's a Pac-12. It's gotta
It
be a
has to
Pac-12
be a
team.
Pac-12.
My first thought
I
was
don't think-
UCLA for some reason.
I mean, it's in LA, so it very well could be.
UCLA is my guess. Give Peyton a guess, but I'm guessing UCLA.
Peyton?
I'm gonna guess Cal.
It's USC. You guys really danced
Oh, it
around
is USC. God damn.
Yeah, the
We-
USC
we
finished
went
the
way harder
season
than-
at 9-2.
We're done.
Missouri entered that game 7-0. Pretty good season for the Tigers.
Oh.
I don't know if that's one of the years where they claim a national championship. I don't necessarily think you can, but they finished 7-2. Certain
If
websites
UCF
have this
can, we
wrong.
can. Mizzou can.
They entered that game 7-1. I was mistaken. The one loss during the regular season was to Nebraska.
Oh, you know what? I know this fact. That game was actually vacated by Nebraska. I'm lying, but like that would explain why that one
Cheating in
side
1924.
Scott Frost was cheating back then.
Mm-hmm.
Back when that was his first year as Nebraska head coach.
Tom
Good
Osborne
ones,
was not
Kenny, good
running a
ones, good
clean
ones.
program.
You want to guess the score?
Oh,
Probably like
33 to
3-0.
9.
No,
It's actually
that's
a
way
pretty
too many
good score
points.
here. 27 total points in this game.
17-10.
Jack, your guess?
This is where I'm going to get exposed for not being able to do math. Therefore, I will say 20 to 7.
It was 20-7. Jack, you did really well in this Ken Sports
Look at
Roast.
me, dude.
The attendance for this
thought?
game, 47,000, according to Wikipedia.
All
Wow.
came down from San Francisco after mining for gold, panning for gold, and watched a football game.
Yeah.
They were like, yuck. We're out panning for gold. All right, I'm done. Nice, Kenny. Best beats of the week, Kenny.
Best beats of the week, current records. Here's the update. Jack, you are technically in first place now at 22-15, with Peyton right behind you at 22-16. Alabama did win, but did not cover the 14-point spread. I'm at 21-17. My future hit because Shedeur Sanders' season ended because he sat out his final game and did not have more interceptions this season than Dak Prescott, who already had more at this point of the year. And Memphis also covered the 10-point spread against Temple. Memphis, good win on the Missouri for the Missouri this year, and tell Ole Miss fans that. I think that's what Ole Miss fans aren't noticing. For this week, this bet comes from our good friend Zach Hernandez, who's been on the show before and will never be on the show again. And he told me to take Oklahoma State plus 14 against Texas in the Big 12 championship. I don't necessarily know if that'll happen, but I believe in Bowman. He has a connection to a guy I mentioned earlier. Nick Dalheim, they played basketball against each other because Bowman's sister went to Oklahoma with my cousin. He said he broke his ankles and scored on him a lot, drove on him. So not the best basketball player in 8th grade, but he's been pretty decent this year for Oklahoma State.
Oh, wait, your cousin said he broke Bowman's ankles or the other way around?
Oh,
okay.
I hope this one does not hit. I just want Texas to leave no doubt.
Oklahoma State stinks. This team is
Alan
so
Bowman
overrated.
looked really bad. Okay, I'm going to say.
They're so overrated. They lost to South Alabama.
It's going to come down to if they can stop Ole or not.
You guys forget, Alan Bowman played at Michigan last year. Pretty good at reading signals.
Good one. Peyton, best beat.
I'm done with college football for the year, unless I see a bowl game I really like. So we're going to college basketball.
Yeah.
Not even starting at the mid-major level. We're going low major. We're going at the bottom. We're going in the dumpster, baby. Utah Tech, formerly known as Dixie State, is traveling to Lindenwood. Obviously, Mizzou has some very good history against Lindenwood in the bet department, of course. Friend of the show, Ben Sternberg, hitting the Crow Hop half-court three-pointer to cover Mizzou's point spread against Lindenwood. Lindenwood at home is a 3.5-point dog to the Utah Tech Bison, I believe. I don't really know anything about either one of these teams, but this just feels too good to be true.
Yeah, betting on Utah Tech is the Trailblazers, by the way, not the Bison.
I don't know anything about them, but I was
just
bet
looking
$10
up
on
their
this
roster. I wanted to see if they had any transfers. Perhaps they have a guy from Hawaii, Beon. This guy's name is Beon. Beon. That's an electric name. Yeah, betting on mid-major basketball, low-major basketball is the lifeblood of the true sickos and betting aficionados out there. It's a very beautiful time. With that said, fellas, I'll keep brief. I'm in first place. We made a little side bet on if I was going to be allowed to keep betting on Iowa. Peyton's going on his phone because he's a loser. Iowa won. You guys can cry about it all you want. I've got my formula. Sticking with it. 36 is the over-under in the Big Ten championship game. The Hawkeyes will hold Blake Corum, will hold future Bears quarterback J.J. McCarthy to under 36 points. This will cover. I will continue to bet on Iowa until their season is done. I'm a sick man, but I'm in first place. Damn it. Give me the Hawkeyes to cover the under. Well, not cover the under. Get the under the hit in this game. The Hawkeyes are not winning this football game. That didn't make sense. This under will hit, though.
Peyton, back to your bet. I have no idea what Jack was talking about there, but Peyton, back to yours. I looked at it. And I looked it up. I was like, I'm trying to see if this Dixie State football game is at home. And I looked it up. And Dixie State was 2-9. I know. And so I looked it up. And I was like, Dixie State's in the OVC? Like, I was so confused.
Oh,
and then I forgot these two teams could play basketball against each other. And I'm glad you let me know that, because I was putting it together and I was like, a 3.5 point spread in a title game with Utah Tech as the away team. Pretty cool game. Ended up being basketball.
Conference realignment hit FCS football harder than FBS.
Yeah,
If you
bad.
look at the conferences there, it is messed up. It is bad.
Me and Peyton had like a long discussion about this in a car ride once. We were just looking at all the realignment and just
It's
like,
disgusting.
Jesus, the travel. It's bad. It's very bad.
Anyways, Knowlton didn't have a beat. So Kenny, what's your dirty?
My dirty bird of the weekend is
I'm gonna
myself.
get tired of winning.
I went to St. Thomas High School in Houston, Texas. We were the Eagles. Tom Eagle is our mascot. That's why I'm a bird. The reason I'm the dirty bird is because when you catch me off guard and asking for money, probably going to give it to you no matter what your cause is. I mean, you could tell me that I'm going to take this and burn it, and I could still give it to you because you caught me off guard. My nose was in my phone. I was on Twitter doing something. A group of kids came up to me, asked me for a $20 bill for their basketball team, travel basketball team. I said, sure. I mean, this looks legit. It kind of looked like the Bishop Sycamore logo on their little sign they had. I was so caught off guard. I didn't even hear what they said. They just said, we're going basketball trip, money, please. And I said, sure, here's a 20. Another guy asked, hey, can we have some for our JV team? I said, no, not anymore. I lied. But I said, you could split it. And he said, okay, thank you. I asked if they were good. They said yes. They said they could dunk. They looked like some athletic kids. They might have been on a basketball team. I don't know. The reason I don't know if they were lying to me or not is because a security guard came running around the corner of the shopping center I was at and said, you guys get out of here. And they ran away too. And so I think I just lost $20.
You were hustled. You were hustled.
I hope it goes to a basketball team and pays for a trip. Maybe I don't think so, based on what the security guards' intentions were of getting them off the premises. But if you do see me on the street and you need money, no matter what your situation is, I'm probably going to give it to you if you catch me off guard.
You were
You're
fully
too
hustled,
nice for
dude.
your own good, man.
I was hustled. I guess I don't listen.
You can especially catch him off guard if he's at the water cooler of Furrow Field with a few, let's just say, not water beverages in him. Then he'll just
I caught people off guard. I was charging people for that water.
Jack Knowlton, if you're the kicker here, what's your call? If you're the kicker here, what's your call?
Always miss a shot up 3.
Mookie!
Kenny, Hey, go sit up. Go back and sit up. Half's not over. I really want us to keep bringing this up, and some hopefully listener is like, wait, that's that guy? He's that guy. You're gonna be that guy forever.
I wasn't there. I didn't go to the game.
Yeah, you're right. You weren't.
Yeah. Dirty bird of the weekend. My dirty bird of the weekend. War Damn Eagle. Don't tweet. Why do they say War Eagle? They won't like that question.
Especially right now.
The Auburn Tigers had a great chance to finish 7-5, following up a loss to New Mexico State by 21 with a victory over Alabama. That's just how Jordan Hare rolls. And they had a 4th and goal from the 32. Everybody's seen it by now. Milrow runs the play call they call Grave Digger. That's super cool. And just a dime. I'll tell you what, logic says Georgia's going to roll Bama this weekend. God might be smiling on his Crimson Tide, though. I'll tell you what, that was like divine intervention. That was kick 6 redemption. So that was super cool. But Auburn is dirty bird for not closing that one out.
Didn't you say earlier that Alabama was going to lose no matter what? Like you were just sold.
Yeah,
that
wait a minute.
Win this game.
Pretty sure, but the only way it would not go that way is if God is truly
Alabama wins.
Is if God is smiling on his Crimson Tide and it's really just Nick Saban's ear.
Jaden Milrow said, "Give me the Heisman." I'm not going to give it to you, but I also don't have a say. Yeah. But Jaden Daniels had a good year.
Jaden Daniels should win the Heisman. Yeah, this was a wild game. Fun fact: that play that set them up to throw that pass should have been negated for a penalty for disconcerting signals when Alabama mishandled the snap. Auburn's safety comes running up to the center and claps which caused the center to snap it too early. And Jalen Milroe fell on it, and then they still
Where
managed
have I
to win.
seen that before?
Yeah, disconcerting signals is taken over college
Not
football.
even just that, the snap part. Anyway.
Oh, and the bad snapping. Yeah.
What's your dirty bird, Knowlton?
Yeah, that's poor. No, I was gonna say too quick. Like the game was just a wild ending.
It was.
And I think Alabama is going to win against Georgia. I stand by that. My dirty bird of the week goes to the Falcons of Air Force. This was a team high flying, gunning for that spot as the best, group of 5 team in the country, and their form fell off a cliff. So much so that they couldn't even get into a 3-way tie for the Mountain West, which had to result in the Mountain West going to a computer to decide who would play in its championship game between Boise State, San Jose State, and UNLV. They ultimately went with Bush Hamden's Broncos against the former Mizzou coach Barry Odom's running Rebels. So we got a lot of Mizzou ties in the Mountain West championship game. But Air Force, my goodness, what a fall off. Losing to Army, Hawaii, UNLV, and then Boise State back to back games. Come on, Falcons. Couldn't even get a 3-way tie. Also, I just wanted to bring up the chaos factor of they had to go to a computer to decide who would play in the Mountain West championship. But Air Force, disappointing end to the season. Still, I think finished as the best armed forces team amongst the squadron of them.
I mean, they did lose. They lost to Army, though. That's the thing.
They did. That's true. So, who's the real winners?
How many times do you see a head coach get fired and then that team makes their conference championship game?
Yeah, that's
incredible.
The weirdest thing at Boise State, man.
It's Andy Avalos was the head coach who got canned, and then you make the conference game. I mean, I think about it like another guy like Dino Babers at Syracuse gets fired, and then Syracuse makes a bowl game like a couple games after. And I know they said something at the beginning of the season, you need to win 7+ games, or we're not going anywhere with you. And they make a bowl game, and he tweeted out something very nice. I'm rooting for these guys, and I'm going to watch that game. I watched this one, but this guy's team made it to the conference title game, and he's not there. But one thing I will say about the UNLV side is that Barry wasn't just the Mizzou coach; he's a true son. I don't know a lot of older people might remember that he played at Mizzou. So there is that title.
I love Mizzou.
Is that good?
Is that good?
The Boise State coaching vacancy. Kirby Moore, keep an eye. I hope.
Yeah. Probably got to keep an eye on Kirby Moore for a lot of those Mountain West vacancies. But
no. Kirby Moore, you don't want
guys.
Kirby Moore
Sucks. He likes to call QB draws in goal-to-goal situations. Mizzou will live with it for 4 years. Okay,
this
take
team
that
is all player.
Everybody,
it's not coaching.
You don't want Blake Baker anyways. Did you see the
Nope.
LSU game? You don't want Blake Baker at all. Tulane
couldn't stop him. Yeah,
Tulane when Willie Fritz goes somewhere.
Please,
U of H. Okay. You know what time it is?
Oh my God!
What's that sound?
Kenny. What time is it? Kenny, what time is it?
Kenny, what time is it?
It's fraud o'clock. It's fraud o'clock. 11:30. We're going down to Houston, Texas, for the first number 5 on the fraud rankings. The Jacksonville Fraud Wires. I don't want to hear it that Jacksonville won this game. They covered the spread. They're frauds. They barely beat the Houston Texans. They needed a doink. They needed the referees. Did you see the jersey swap at the end of the game? Trevor Lawrence holding up the zebra stripes. Frauds. Just wait.
Trevor Lawrence looks like one of those Easter Island head guys. Fraud.
Trevor Fraudence.
We're going to Atlanta for this next one. Coming in at number 4, the Falcons running away with a 24-15 win over the New Orleans Aints. Derek Carr, 304 yards and an interception. Desmond Ridder outplayed him. Not really. 168 yards, a touchdown, and 2 picks. Desmond Ritter's fraud Falcons are now 5-6 and at the top.
They lead the NFC South.
Yeah,
South.
I think the whole NFC South might be frauds, Kenny.
Can't be frauds when you suck. Coming in at number 3, and this was an easy one. I don't care who your quarterback is when you got a defense like the Cleveland Browns. Can we talk about the Denver Broncos? Russell Wilson, 13 completions, 134 yards, and a touchdown. Still put up 29 points.
Is Sean Payton Coach of the Year? Oh,
Broncos are now
He's
6-5.
He's Mr. Kenny and Peyton, say it with me. He's Mr.
Unlimited.
unlimited fraud.
Unlimited fraud. Browns
They
fraud.
won.
Best defense in football. Huh? Fraud.
Number 2 in the fraud rankings, and this one was easy. It's so easy that my hands are shrinking. My hands are shrinking. Kenny Pickett. They rallied. They rallied behind Matt Canada's firing. Still pulled off a win, but barely against Jake Browning in the Cleveland. Sorry, in the Cincinnati Bengals.
Cleveland Bengals.
Cleveland
Kenny, you might be a
Bengals.
fraud, Kenny. You
Fraud.
don't know your teams. Fraud.
Still got to call the Steelers frauds. And at number 1, everyone knows this. If you were on Thanksgiving and you're a Detroit fan,
Oh, damn
don't look at the
fraud.
moon. Never look
They
at
lost
the moon.
to the moon. The
They
waxing
lost to
gibbets.
the moon. Jordan Love,
Waxing promise.
268 yards, 3 touchdowns. Happy
Oh.
Thanksgiving, says the Utah State quarterback. 29-22. The Lions are losers and frauds.
Don't look
Jared
now,
Goff.
Green Bay in the hunt. Is Jordan Love
Jared
the
Goff,
answer?
you may have quite the attractive wife, but you can't stop turning the football over.
Fraud.
That's
Speaks
my
the truth,
final
I
thought.
guess.
Yeah. Good fraud rankings. Ratio/joke/bonk/community note of the weekend. Kenny or Peyton.
All right,
I don't know.
I'll take it.
Whoever.
Cole here. Oh my god.
Here. Whoa. Cole
That's why I
here.
didn't want it.
Kenny, you
That's
are
why-
a fraud. Start that again. Fraud.
Number 6,
Kenny
Kenny Van Frauden.
Van Doren. Cole here. More like Cole fraud. Fraud. Sorry, Kenny.
Man, I this is why I wrote next to it. I didn't want to say it. I'm
He got
still
cooked.
doing it. 590 the Cole. He's always on. Only has 309 followers on X. From Columbus, Ohio, moved to St. Louis. Don't see this person. I don't see Cole's affiliation for college, but quote tweeting Brett Sarver. Shout out Brett Sarver. We love Brett
Dangerous
Sarver on X. Yeah, dangerous game. Brett Sarver has an army behind him. Mizzou
We
fans
are Brett Sarver.
have one good season in how many years and forget how to act after Brett Sarver was, posting some things about how Mizzou could make it into the college football playoff. Of course, a little bit of a joke there from Brett Sarver. 29 replies, 5 quotes, and 4 likes. I can't look at the likes through my computer, but I am hoping those are trolls or just Kansas and Illinois fans after great seasons from their respective teams. But Cole here, you live in St. Louis, man. You suck, dude. I mean, it's a joke. I don't know. I don't get what you're trying to get at here, but you got ratioed. Shout out Justin Bear, the sponsor, and the submittee.
Main
computer.
Submittee?
Submittee.
That's not a word.
Submitter, I guess, is the correct term.
Contributor? Lead contributor?
He submitted
I
it, so
have
he's a submitter.
I have a joke of the
That's
day
not what you
from our
said.
favorite TV series, The Today Show, if we want.
Oh. Finish it up.
Guys, what happens? What happens when,
Can I make him turn his camera? Can I make him turn his camera back on?
what happens when
I can't.
doctors get frustrated, Knowlton?
What happens when doctors get frustrated? They seek medical advice from other doctors.
Close, but not actually. They lose their patience. Oh, the Today Show.
The Today Show doesn't miss,
It
man.
keeps on giving.
What do they
Oh.
give him an Emmy for that? No,
Oh
Emmy,
my
Oscar. What
goodness
do they do
gracious.
for VMA? What do they do for TV shows? What's the
I
TV
don't
show
know,
awards?
man. I'm not up to date with my award shows. I just know that the character arc Al Roker and Hoda have had.
Yeah. Oh, Al
the
Roker.
heart.
I mean, who
What a
plays
redemption story.
who plays him again?
Al Roker.
Michael Keaton. Is that who that is?
The
I think he's the
Birdman.
star. I was trying to think of an older actor. Great sitcom. All right, we'll end the show. Hope everyone enjoyed. We'll be back Friday. Kenny might have a guest for us. I don't know. That's news to us, just as it is to you viewers. Kenny just said it. I'm not quoting that. Never mind. We're ending the show. I'm getting all thrown off my rhythm. We'll be back Friday. We might see if Ben can come back on, talk a little more Mizzou men's basketball too after the Pitt game. But with that, everyone enjoy your week. Maybe go troll some Ole Miss fans. I don't know. Do what you got to do to advocate for Mizzou getting this New Year's Six bowl. We're going to keep talking about it. And we'll figure out a plan for Sunday too, since Mizzou doesn't have a game. Maybe we'll just talk about the championships. Who knows? And obviously the main storyline will be
both selections are next Sunday, so we'll have
that's true. So we'll have that'll be the lead. So we'll find out on Sunday, but we'll have a show Friday first. Hope everyone enjoyed that very discombobulated outro. This has been the Unwritten Rule presented. Oh, there he is. Kenny, any final words? What are you doing? You're muted.
He's muted. He ruined his whole bit.
You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. That's what Michael Keaton said.
In what?
Batman.
Yeah. The 90s Batman. You're exposing how young you are, Peyton. You weren't born in the 90s like Kenny and I. Anyway, we're going to end the show on that note. This has been the Unwritten Rule presented by Goodbye. See you on Friday.